Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Families Fly Free podcast. I'm Lynn Mettler, your host, a longtime travel writer, and the creator of the Families Fly Free membership. That's my exclusive membership where I teach you my simple system, my simple fly free formula to always be able to fly your family free so you can travel more and make more priceless memories together. I do want to let you know that the price of that membership is about to go up on October 29th. So if you've been considering joining us, you want a simple way to always be able to use travel rewards along with the support and the real-time changing information and the accountability you need to always be successful. Come join us before the price goes up and get all the same value at today's price. And you can do that at familiesflyfree.com/join. Today, we're going to spend some time diving back into Southwest because the information and the updates and the changes just keep on a coming. So I'm here to do my very best to help you make sense of it and make it as simple as possible. So the first thing we're going to dive into today is there was an article that was written by Dawn Gilbertson at the Wall Street Journal. Southwest gave her a sneak peek at the new boarding process. And so they had given us some information about there would be 8 boarding groups. They were going to get rid of the A, B, and C groups, of course, now that there will be assigned seating beginning January 27th, 2026. But they gave her some more detail. So I'm going to share some of the things that she wrote about in her article with you. And then we're going to talk about some other issues, checking bags right now at the gate, which has become a problem a lot of people are talking about. Some assigned seating refund and purchasing issues that I'm seeing among my members, and just some other updates that they've released here lately. So let's start with this boarding order article. So Dawn, um, again, got a sneak peek at this, and she says that it requires a graduate level course almost to be able to understand it. So that's not good news, right? But again, I'm going to do my best to try to simplify things for you. So what they have added additionally beyond these groups 1 through 8 is that they're going to board the plane with the window seat first, then the middle seat, and then the aisle, starting in the back of the plane. And this is apparently called the Wilma method. Somewhere in there is window, middle, aisle. So my question is, though, how does that work if they've also got different boarding groups? We've got groups 1 through 8. So my best guess is for each boarding group, they're going to, start at the back, right? Whoever has the furthest back seat, and the window seat, those people would get on first, and then middle, and then aisle. So I guess we'll do that by boarding group. And then group 5 is the group that you would get to board with if you hold a Southwest card, any Southwest card. So that's generally been my recommendation to help with all these changes. So if you at least hold a Southwest card, you're going to be no later than group 5. So I think then probably we'll have groups 6, 7, and 8 will be the bulk of the people boarding the plane, is my guess. And so those people, they'll start at the back and then window, middle, aisle. So we're not going to know exactly how it's going to work until we're all standing in line and get to actually see it in process beginning January 27th. But it'll be interesting, I think, for a couple months as they get that sorted and working smoothly, we hope. Another thing that I have found is there's no more family boarding once assigned seating starts. So at the moment, with no assigned seats, families with kids 6 or younger, 2 adults at least, can board with young kids between A group and B group. So that will go away. If you do need, because of a disability or special assistance, to board the plane early, you're still going to be able to do that, but there's going to be no advantage in terms of getting a better seat to be able to do that. So if you do need extra time to get on and get settled and that's fine. You're going to be able to still request that from Southwest, but it won't be the case for family boarding. So another new thing they added here that she shared in this article is or actually, I think this is something they announced, but if you do end up with an extra legroom seat, either you purchased it or you got it for holding a certain card or certain status, you're going to automatically get to board in groups one and two. So that's interesting. And they're also throwing in you're going to get complimentary premium drinks and wonderful pistachios, no shells. That's a new snack that they're adding that I guess is just for premium people, extra legroom folks. And then another thing that was in her article that they haven't announced officially is that they're also going to be offering a priority boarding at the gate for a premium and dynamic price. So that means based on the popularity of that route, they're probably going to base it on how popular upgraded boarding was on different routes. That's how they'll determine the pricing. So if you arrive and you want, you are in group five and you're not happy with that, you could pay if there's probably going to be a set number available. You can pay, they didn't release pricing information, a certain amount, and then you would actually board before group one. So that's a last minute priority boarding option. Again, to me, this is never something that's important, is boarding the plane early. I know I've said this a lot, but you do need to have a space for your carry-on bag if you need to put it in the bin, but you're probably going to be okay with that if you're not in group six, seven, or eight. Other than that, I don't really care to get on the plane any earlier and have to sit in my seat longer. So I would never pay extra money just to get on the plane earlier. I would if it got me a much better seat. But with the no assigned or with the assigned seating, to me, that's not an important thing. But if that's of interest to you, that's going to be available. So that's the new information we have about boarding. And again, we'll just have to wait and see how it works in reality. So another thing that we're seeing, and I think I've mentioned this on some recent episodes too, is there's been so many people bringing their carry-on bag because they don't want to check a bag because now it costs to check a bag. Except we know if we just hold a Southwest card, we get one free checked bag per person. That's the simple solution to that problem. But the rest of the world doesn't know that. And so they are bringing more carry-on bags onto the plane. And this has created a problem because they don't have enough room in the bins for all these carry-ons. So apparently, we've been able to sleuth this out through all of our different members flying at different times and having different experiences, myself included. Um, they apparently have given the gate agents a quota of bags to check at the gate, knowing that they're not going to be able to fit all these bags on the plane. And they're trying to do that ahead of time so they don't slow up takeoffs. They can take off on time. And so we've experienced it. Many of my members have experienced it. Don Gilbertson talked about it too from the Wall Street Journal in a recent article about there's almost a threatening tone to it. And we actually had a gate agent come up to us when we were flying a couple weeks ago and try to take our bags from us. That's a little bit over the top, We were like, no, thank you. We're boarding early enough. We're going to have room for our bags. Um, so they're clearly, and we talked with her about it, what did she think about this? And she's like, I'm not happy about it because this is what I do the entire work shift is just try to get people to check their bags at the gate. And they're offering it for free. Um, but so this is clearly an issue. And it'll be interesting to see if they shift anything about this because it's such a problem. That they don't have enough space. So again, we'll have to wait and see if group five is enough to make sure you have space to check your bags or not. Another thing I don't like about this whole checking bags for free at the gate is what if I paid to check my carry-on because I didn't want to drag it through the airport and have to deal with it on the plane? Somebody else just got to check theirs for free. So that doesn't make me happy, and that doesn't seem fair to me either. So they're going to have to figure out something different here. It's a different situation if you had a bag that couldn't be a carry-on, anyway, that you paid to check. But if I specifically check to carry on, and I do that sometimes, like if I bring a carry on with me going somewhere, on the plane, I'll bring it with me just so it doesn't get lost. And so I have the things I need for my trip. But very often, then coming back, we'll check it because it's not a big deal if it gets lost coming back. We're going home, we've got stuff at home that we can function with, if our bag is delayed. So if I paid to check it on the way home, which I wouldn't because I have a Southwest card and I wouldn't do that, but that would be frustrating if then I saw people at the gate were getting to check theirs for free. So I think they need to figure that one out. Okay, another thing that we're seeing that's very interesting as people start to book flights with assigned seats is how they are working this paid assigned seat feature. Now, again, what I'm going to recommend to you, and you can go back to my episode on kind of the simple way to handle all these changes. I'll link to it below in the show notes, but is first of all, you don't want to be paying for an assigned seat. And not only because it costs, but I'm going to show you why else you don't want to be paying for an assigned seat. If you hold a Southwest Priority or Performance Business Card, either one, those are going to give you an assigned seat at booking as long as there's one available, as long as that other people haven't bought them all. But 9 times out of 10, it should be available. And I'm recommending the priority card over performance business because it has a lower annual fee. You can keep performance business if you already have it, but priority is going to save you money and you're going to get all the same benefits that you're getting on performance business. And if you have a lower Southwest card, like you have a Plus or a Premier, you can call an upgrade. You don't want to accept any points for that upgrade. If you do that, you're resetting the clock on when you could earn a bonus again on a Southwest personal card. But you can just upgrade it so that you get the benefits of priority. So that would be my suggestion. But what's happening is if you buy a seat, and first, let's look at if you need to make changes to the flight. And then we're going to look at if you need to cancel the flight, what happens. Because you can't buy the seat in points. Maybe they'll change that, but right now you can't. So if you find yourself needing to buy a seat, and you're going to need to buy a seat unless you've paid for a higher fare type, or unless you have a Southwest card or your status with Southwest. So if you buy a seat and then you change the flight, like let's say the price goes down, um, what happens is you lose your seat when you make that change, first of all, and then you have to rebuy the seat. So they actually, in a change, they'll credit what you already purchased toward the new seat. But if the previous seat you bought, let's say, was $68 and the new seat you just bought is $50, they're not going to refund you that difference. You lose $18 on that. So that stinks. And if you cancel the flight, you don't get that back either. So let's say you paid $68 for the seat. Now you need to cancel the flight. And that's always been one of the best perks of Southwest is we can change or cancel with no penalty as long as you're booking in points. And that's still the case in terms of the fare. So even if I'm booking the cheapest basic fare, if I booked in points, I can still cancel it. Points go right back in my account. They never expire. Not a problem. If I paid cash, which I don't ever recommend doing, you're going to end up with a credit. And that credit, if it's a basic fare, the cheapest fare, is going to expire in 6 months from when you booked it, not from when the flight date is. And if you get the next highest fare choice, it's going to expire in 12 months. So, but if I bought a seat and I cancel, I get a credit back for that seat, but it's going to expire in the same time frame. So again, if it was a basic fare, it's going to expire in 6 months. If it's choice, it's going to expire in 12. If you bought a fully refundable fare, I think you would get that back. But this credit can't be used for a seat in the future. It can only be used to book a fare. So that's really bizarre. So that's going to mean if you're paying for seats, you're going to end up with a bunch of these little credits if you cancel flights. And these credits are very difficult to deal with. They now have like the points plus cash option to book a fare. And you can use points plus a credit in that situation. But the problem is the price in points is you're only going to get 1 cent of value out of your points if you do it that way. Versus if you book the whole thing in points, now sometimes we're getting over 2 cents of value sometimes out of our points because their valuations are fluctuating more in terms of what their points are worth. So actually, sometimes we're getting a lot more value out of our points. And so you're spending more points than you should when you do points plus cash in order to be able to use a credit, and it's very complicated. So that is not an ideal situation in any way, shape, or form. That's very confusing and complicated. It's most simple if you just book in points and then you have a card so you don't have to buy a seat. So that way, if you cancel, it's not a problem. You didn't pay any money for the seat. If you have to change and the seat is less, it doesn't matter because you didn't pay for it to start with. So I hope that makes some sense, but you're going to start running into these things yourself. My inbox is full of these kinds of questions. Our community is full of questions like this. And so we're in there answering them for people, figuring it out, and putting together just a resource sheet for our members so they have a place to go for all these common questions that are going to start coming up with all these complicated scenarios. So again, you can absolutely still fly Southwest. They are still the best airline to fly. We can work incredible deals with them on points. Again, in the latest sale, there were points from 2,000 points round trip. I mean, not round trip, one way per person, 4,000 points round trip. I mean, that's crazy. So that's worth messing with this and worth understanding a simple way to approach it. And again, just staying on top of these changes and having real-time information from an expert and from fellow people who are out there doing this so that you can adapt and adjust as needed. And that's one of the big benefits of Families Fly Free. And I encourage you, if you haven't listened to the open house that's in the previous podcast to this is actually podcast episode number 200, which is very exciting. But if you go back to 199, we had 4 members answering questions from a big group of non-members who came to learn more about Families Fly Free. And so we had our members on to just answer honestly, so you could hear from them instead of from me about what they find valuable about the membership and why they continue to be members. We had multiple 5-year members on there, several 3-year members on there, why they keep staying members year after year. And a lot of it is because of this changing information and the analysis and advice that I give about everything, and then that I'm working with people in real time and helping them solve these issues if they're having trouble or getting confused or even going to bat for them. I sometimes have to go to Chase and help them get things sorted when they're getting incorrect information, which I know is incorrect because I've been doing this for such a long time and getting it fixed for them. So I just had to do that within the last 2 weeks for someone. All right, so that's the seating issue. On the good news side of things, today, as I'm recording this and as this episode goes up, we have free Wi-Fi on all Southwest flights that have Wi-Fi for all Rapid Rewards members. So that's awesome. To take advantage of that, you do need to have a Rapid Rewards account. And so go ahead and make sure that everyone that you're flying with or in your family has their own Rapid Rewards number. And that's something I recommend that people do anyway as part of my Fly Free formula. I have them set that all up at the beginning. It makes things so much easier. It makes it so much easier to track people, particularly if you have people who are flying separately from you and they're not attached to your reservation. It's going to be so much easier for you to go in and change their flights, check for price drops, find their reservation if they have their own account number. So I really recommend doing that. And this is an even better reason. So everybody can have free Wi-Fi. And it does say it's for unlimited devices. So that's exciting too. So it's not just your phone or your computer, but you can have your iPad or multiple things connected to the internet. We also have had over the last couple of weeks, apparently Southwest has sent out a survey. There's been reports of that. I think they did mention that in their recent earnings call, just asking people about a potential new premium card and some, what would they want to be on there, what types of features and benefits. And they've also talked about having their own lounges. So that would be really exciting. That was something on my wish list that I never thought would happen in a million years, that Southwest would have their own lounge. But that would certainly be exciting, and that might be a benefit of one of these premium cards. Let's hope if they do it, we don't have something on the order of 7.95 or 8.95, like we've seen with Chase Sapphire Reserve and Amex Platinum. But that's something we'll keep an eye on, and let you know if we hear more information. They also shared some new information about new aircraft that they're receiving and the changes to the design and features that they're making, at least on new aircraft that they're taking. So they are retrofitting, like relaying out, that's what that means, some of all of their older aircraft to set up for this new extra legroom. But for brand new aircraft that they are receiving, they're going to have some extra features beyond just this new layout. So one of the things is it will have a personal electronic device holder. So I think that's going to be on the seat back in front of you, so that, we always see people hanging their phones or things like that on there to watch. And so there'll be a way, like a little slot that you can put maybe your iPad or your phone in order to watch entertainment. And then the tray tables, they've said, are going to have two different cup holders. So it would work if you're right-handed or left-handed. So hooray for left-handed people. That's awesome that they gave that some consideration and added that. A question that I'm getting a ton right now that I definitely got on the open house is, will the Southwest Companion Pass change in 2026? And we don't know for sure about that. There has been no official information from Southwest. Again, they did apparently send out a survey about that some point this year, and just they talked about increasing the number of points, or um, different things that you might have to do, hold a credit card, take certain actions. So my thought is it probably will change, but I have no confirmation of that. My best guess is that the number of points required to earn it will go up. And so that's where, if you've been counting on it being 135,000 and you're trying to get a 2026, 2027 companion pass, if that changes, you're going to want some help to figure out what is the best new strategy to help get you the remaining points so that you still get your 2026, 2027 companion pass. And so if that happens, we'll be holding a webinar in Families Fly Free, and we'll be helping people, giving them the next best options to help them get there. And it's going to be different for each person because it always depends on, how many points do you have toward it right now? Did you take advantage of this current 120,000 point offer that's out there? Or when was the last time do you already have Southwest cards? When did you open them? When was the last time you got the bonus? All of these different things factor into what is the best strategy for you. And again, Family Fly Free is personalized for that reason, because there isn't just a one size fits all. You have to take my Fly Free formula and you have to customize it to fit your particular needs and goals and size of family and situation. Just the last couple of things. So, they have added lots of new routes this year that are very exciting. Alaska is for sure at the top of my list in terms of new things they've added. I know my members are excited about this. They've also added Knoxville, so you can access the Smoky Mountains, St. Thomas in the Caribbean, St. Martin in the Caribbean, and Santa Rosa. So if you want to head out to California wine country, that's going to make it much more convenient. Rather than driving up from San Francisco, you can also kind of drive down from Sacramento, which is what I just did on a recent trip out there, which is actually less traffic. So you might consider that if you're flying out there before they open Santa Rosa. And then there's also been some articles quoting the Southwest CEO saying that they are going to be adding Dallas Fort Worth as well. So they already are at Love Field in Dallas, and they hold, I think, all but two slots there. I flew into there last year, and yeah, it's like just the whole airport is Southwest. But so they're going to be expanding to Dallas Fort Worth, which would be nice because there's a Capital One lounge there that I've always wanted to go in, because I did fly to Love, but not Dallas Fort Worth, where the lounge is last year. So that might be nice. So that's the latest and greatest on Southwest. in terms of boarding and seats and all kinds of different things. They did say on their earnings call recently that most of the things they're doing, have been laid out, started so far. So there shouldn't be too much more coming. Let's hope there's no major changes to Companion Pass. But we will let you know if it is, and give you our best advice. So thanks for listening to today's episode. I do hope to see you in Families Fly Free. If you would like some personalized support, a simpler way to do it, a way to save tons more time if you're trying to do travel rewards on your own and finding it overwhelming, and just a way to maximize the points that you do have, and minimize the number of cards that you need to have to accomplish your goals. So, thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you on the next episode.